Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers, is a adaptation of the original novel Dracula and obviously the 1920s film of the same name. This has been my most anticipated movie, not only of this year, but I would say of the decade so far, ever since I found out that the absolute auteur, that is Robert Eggers, was making a Nosferatu adaptation, and that he was going to really lean into the horror aspect of it, and it was going to be the most straightforward horror film he was ever going to make. Really had me excited because Robert Eggers' other three films are all adjacent to horror. They all have horrific things in them. They all are scary in their own right, but they were never, straight up a horror film. I wouldn't even classify The Witch as a horror movie, even though that's probably the closest he ever came. So knowing this and knowing my affinity for horror movie, well-made horror movies specifically, and Robert Eggers' pedigree and this already uber interesting story of Nosferatu and the real lack of good quality vampire cinema that we've had in the past 10 to 15 years. It was just all of the stars were aligning for this to be my favorite thing ever. And then the trailers dropped, and I even got more excited. I found out it was coming out on Christmas Day, and it was all of these emotions running through my mind as I sat down to watch it. And it completely delivered. In every aspect, this movie is an absolute triumph. I loved every second of Nosferatu. It blew my mind in so many ways. So I first want to talk about the movie as an adaptation and the story it's trying to tell. Obviously, Nosferatu is a way more romantic and specifically sexual story than a lot of people give it credit for. It is a lot about temptation and lust and shame and not gross feelings, but feelings that people all have at one point in their life but are too ashamed to ever really talk about. And Robert Eggers leans into that by making this movie mainly told through the lens of Ellen, our central protagonist. She is played obviously by Lily Rose Depp, who I will get into her performance later, trust me. But making it so that it is through her perspective, and we're feeling what she's feeling throughout the entire movie is such a brilliant choice. Because other adaptations have gone the route of making her more of a hero, or she never really initiated the tension between her and the creature known as Nosferatu. So to go down the route of really making this a movie about the repression and kind of not technically sinfulness, but a lot of religious persecution that women go through when dealing with sexual feelings, when discussing these kinds of matters and sexual trauma specifically. When having to talk about this, they're made to feel isolated and paranoid, and they're getting skepticized at every moment. So to really lean into that fact and make Nosferatu more of a feminist film is really, really perfect, and I think was beautifully executed throughout the entire thing. Another thing I really want to know is how great the narrative structure here is. I think that it takes this classic story that we all know about, that we've all either read or seen at some point in our life, and not necessarily give more of a modern twist to it, because this movie is anything but modern in that way, but take modern ideologies and looking at it through that lens, and obviously modern technology to recreate the Victorian Germany era is really perfect. And I don't know, I think Robert Eggers was the perfect person for this kind of movie, because he does meld together more modern themes and those kinds of aspects in the filmmaking and the storytelling going on, while still being overly loyal to the actual history and folklore. of vampires and Nosferatu specifically. So again, he gets flying colors all across the board. He passes with flying colors all across the board because Robert Eggers, it just, he knows his shit, and that's the best thing. Is like, one, he's so confident in his abilities as a filmmaker. Two, he has such a distinct and specific voice in his direction style. And three, he is so devoted to making things as specific and accurate to the vibe he is trying to tap into, that it's so special and so uniquely him to do that. So I really loved everything that Robert Eggers was doing here. From a production value standpoint, this is one of the most beautiful movies I have ever witnessed. It is a gorgeous piece of art to look at. The lighting, especially when it's like a dream sequence or at night, and it's supposed to be horrific, and there's all these different like light blues and whites. It's absolutely fantastic. A lot of the different set design was incredible. There's specific scenes that you see in the trailer of like Nosferatu's the shadow of his hand moving over the town as he's slowly infecting it is incredible. The one where the horses with the carriage are going down a mountain and you see his castle lurking in the background. Oh, it is absolute perfection, and I could legitimately just sit here and point out specific shots that are, just pure artwork. Like, they could be hung up, framed, and put in a museum. They are that gorgeous. So, that kind of goes without saying, but, this movie, it just looks so good. The performances here are absolutely fantastic. I think everybody across the board killed it here. Lily Rose Depp is the obvious standout. What she's able to accomplish here, moving in and out of fear, obsession, and lust, all so just seamlessly, and with, her performance is such a tour de force in this movie that you almost don't even notice it, because she is just so tapped in to what Nosferatu is all about, and her character's specific motivations and reasoning for doing certain things, and how truly trapped she is in this situation. She plays all of that so beautifully. I was really impressed by Nicholas Hoult, who's not somebody who normally impresses me. I like him. I think he's been good in movies, and he's certainly been in good movies, but this is the first time he's ever stood out to be like, wow, he specifically like really took that role and made it his own. I thought he was perfect in this role. I really liked Aaron Taylor Johnson, even though I do think he's the weakest of the bunch. I really loved Willem Dafoe. He was so much fun, kind of brought a little bit of levity to the movie at times when it really needed it, but not in a corny way at all. I really love, obviously, Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu. He was terrifying, and the voice he used, his design, it was so cool. Oh, everything about that character was just oozing with style, and it was so good. Because I want to get into spoilers a little bit, because I have so much to talk about. I kind of want to write down fully script out a long spoiler review, because there's so many things I want to delve into with the storytelling and the themes used here and the different psychological aspects of the film, but also how romantic it is and how beautiful all of it is, and tragic. It's so, I don't know. It is exactly what I was looking for, and it's the kind of movie that I really think we need more of. It's so grand and epic, and really isn't afraid to take itself seriously, when I feel like other kinds of these movies would get a budget like this and I don't know, try to back out of it a little bit. Try to be like, oh, well, actually, we're not fully going into this weird, goth love story between a vampire and a Victorian woman. We're not going to do the weird shit. We're going to stray away from that a little bit. No, a major production company gave Robert Eggers as much money as he needed to bring his vision to life, and he was obviously given all of the creative freedom in the world and made something truly special here, something truly unique, something that is going to be a landmark in cinema, something that is going to be looked back upon, studied, reviewed, talked about for years and years to come, just because of how much of an amalgamation of every aspect of good filmmaking there is in this movie. So I absolutely love Nosferatu. It is a easy 5 out of 5 stars for me. It is the movie that I was waiting to get together my best of the year list for, because I knew that it would be on here, and it did not disappoint. And I've seen it twice now, so you can't even, it's not even like a recency bias thing. It's not a like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've seen right now, but it'll fade away in a couple of months. No, this is the real deal. So have you guys seen Nosferatu? What did you think of it? Please let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for this year so far. This will probably be the last video I make before the new year rings in. So thank you so much for watching. I have a couple more things to get through before we get to our best and worst of the year list. Actually, just one more video of my big roundup review of all the shit I missed. And that will include Baby Girl and A Complete Unknown. I will be seeing those 2 movies before I release that. And yeah, so this is it. It's been another year with Film Buffs. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you with the next video. Thank you so much.